All right, what is up, everybody? This is Enigma with Max Gamer Podcast. I am here live with Hugh Jeremy of Unknown Worlds and Natural Selection 2, as well as Zombie, my brother, and my co-host, as always. What is up, Hugh?
G'day, everyone. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I hope everybody else is doing pretty good as well on the stream. As I said before, we are live on twitch.tv/Max Gamer Podcast here with Hugh Jeremy of Natural Selection 2, as well as Unknown Worlds. Should I address you as Unknown Worlds or Natural Selection 2, or do you just kind of work for everything?
Well, but that is, so Natural Selection 2 is the game being developed by Unknown Worlds, exactly. And that's where I work, and so, yeah, you can call me whatever the hell you want.
Awesome. So, yeah, we got in contact with you a while back ago, just kind of letting you guys know that we were going to be doing some live streaming and such, and you guys had actually been looking for a just interviews of any kind, really, because unfortunately, you guys don't have a very big budget for PR work and such, right?
That's absolutely true. In fact, we pretty much have zero budget for PR work. We set aside a little bit, do things like shows, but otherwise it's just guerrilla warfare. Try and spread the word about NS2 and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a great game. As I was telling you before, I love it. And Jake is echoing just a little bit.
I apologize, guys. I apologize.
He's having a bit of an issue. But yeah, it was just one of those things that we loaded up the game. We've been a big fan of the game for a very long time. Like I was telling you earlier, Hugh, I've been playing it since I was 12, so have you. My brother's been playing it for probably even longer. I'm not entirely sure when he picked it up. It was probably back when it very first released and such.
Well, when I picked it up, it was actually Alpha, NS1 Alpha stage.
Oh,
I've
damn!
been playing for a long time. So, and I go back with a group of people. We actually land it every second Saturday of the month for almost a year, and that was just at LAN parties where we had like I want to say like 10 or 12 people playing. So we got a good 5v5 or 6v6 going on, and then we played a lot of Battlefield 2 or 1942 at the same time, but. It was Natural Selection 1 or Battlefield 1942. Those were our games of choice.
Oh yeah, yeah. I started when I was 12 as well. Yeah. So we've been around the concept's been around for a while now, and it's really exciting to be chatting to two people that shared the fun. And hopefully, there's some viewers out there that have also shared that fun of Natural Selection 1. And if not, well, welcome. Let us show you this concept.
Bring you into the journey. The journey that is the life of Natural Selection 2. But yeah,
also known as the dark side.
No, the light.
No, the light. Definitely the light. Unless you're playing aliens. I like to think that the aliens are more Darth Vader because they look ugly and unfortunately they're evil. But who says evil is bad? I mean, really.
And we don't even say the aliens are evil. We leave it completely up to the players to interpret whether they think it's the aliens trying to recover their territory or it's the Marines trying to protect human territory. It's totally up to players, and both of them could be as evil as each other. We leave that up to you.
That is actually a good concept. I have never looked at it in that light. Maybe the Marines were the asses that were the ones that like came in and took over the world. That is a good point, man. That is a good point. I've never thought of that. I really have not. Have you, Jake?
Yeah, I kind of thought of it more as they were both Marines and aliens were trying to reclaim an unknown space. So they were both exploring and found the same space. Now they're battling for that space to call their own, basically. Neither one of them, it wasn't the aliens invading the Marines invading the aliens. They were both invading a third party. And that's NS2 in my opinion.
Yeah, sounds good. And again, we leave it up to you.
Yeah, definitely. So, with that being said, let's just go right into the interview. I mean, I'd like to continue to sit and chat, but let's face it, the guys are here to get to the nitty gritty. Let's get these questions going and get some of these viewer questions going as well. Again, as I said before, when the actual stream started, don't forget to go and check these guys out at all of their services. I believe that you guys are at facebook.com/Natural Selection 2, correct?
That is true, and hey, we actually use Twitter and Facebook a hell of a lot, and not in a traditional way for a lot of big publishers and game developers. We literally just let you inside our world, show you what's going on, sometimes in funny ways, other times in more serious ways. So if you want to learn about NS2 and find out what's going on, the most efficient way is definitely to follow us on those two pieces of social media, because we love it. they become our voice, and we do silly things on them.
No, that's for sure. And I've looked at some of your tweets, and I've looked at some of your guys' Facebook messages, and it is really an odd way of using it for your a game developing company. Most game development companies just use their Twitter and Facebook for just hey, check this out. Don't forget there's a beta coming out, or hey, check this version out. Blah blah blah. But you guys really do make it fun, and you make it very interactive with your users and such, and that's one thing that I like about you guys.
Thank you.
Also, twitter.com/ns2. Always go and check that out. Go and follow them. Go and tweet them. Go and do all that stuff. And don't forget to go and download the game right now. You can actually get into the beta, I believe, if you actually buy the game, and that's what we did. So I fully support that. You guys can go and check that out over at www.naturalselection2.com, and you guys can get a hold of the beta. I believe we're giving out some beta keys today as well, are we not?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely,
awesome.
Definitely.
Awesome. So let's jump right into this this interview then. I mean, I guess one of the first questions that we should really ask is for the users and such that have never played Natural Selection. What is Natural Selection? Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
I sure can. I can give the spiel of what Natural Selection
exactly.
is. It is an asymmetrical shooter/hybrid game that has a human marine team we call the Frontiersmen, an alien team we call the Kara, and they go at each other in various environments and try to eliminate each other. And the idea is that there is that shooter and strategy combined. So there's a real-time strategy commander on each side, looking down on a battlefield which looks at first glance like a lot of real-time strategy games, except if you look closely or play for more than a few seconds, you'll notice that all those units on the ground have free will. They seem really intelligent for a real-time strategy game, and that's because they are actually real people playing. So we have a sweet spot for games of around 6v6, but we can go higher than that, we can go lower than that, and on each side you've got one commander and the rest of the people playing it out in a first-person perspective.
Yeah. And that was one thing for Natural Selection 2. They were actually, I believe, and I've read this before and I've read this in the past, they were the first to actually incorporate the RTS mode, or the kind of coalition of RTS and first-person shooter together back in when it first released back in 2002. Is that correct or not?
I don't know if I think there was. I'm not sure when Gloom was released, but the idea was floating around. We don't get into the argument about who was first, who was second, it doesn't matter. It's a cool concept. It's definitely been proven by Natural Selection, and other people have done it well as well, and it's exciting. It's a rare melding of genres, that's for sure. You don't see a lot of games doing it, and there's never really been a game that's just completely. I mean, the past 4 or 5 years, there hasn't been a huge explosion in it. So it's definitely still relatively untrodden land, and it's exciting to be doing a game that does it.
No, it's a very unique concept, and I know that they voted Natural Selection back in 2008. They voted for it as the top 10 most played Half-Life mods, and that was one thing I'm sure that Unknown Worlds and the creator of Natural Selection was stoked about, and I mean I was as well. I enjoyed, like I told you before. I mean we've been big fans of Natural Selection for a very, very long time, but yeah. Second question that we got, what made you go from a mod for Half-Life to maybe a standalone game? What was the decision behind that? Did you guys think, well, we're moving away from the limitations that we can have on the Half-Life engine. We need to get our own stuff going, and we need to make it big this time,
Sorry, I just had a bit of a breakup on my Skype line. Could you give me that question one more time?
Yeah, definitely. The question was just, what made you go from a mod for Half-Life to a standalone game, basically?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so, I mean, modding is a fantastic way for new ideas to be tried out. Look at DayZ doing it right now. Definitely. Look at Natural Selection doing it way back when. Look at Counter-Strike. Look at Dota. It's a great ground for new ideas to be tried in a relatively low-risk environment because, I mean, you don't have to back a whole company's future up on a completely untested concept. Now, Natural Selection was proven to be a cool concept. A lot of people liked it. We're pretty confident it might be higher or lower. In fact, we think it was higher, but we had 300,000 people play Natural Selection 1. And so once you've got that concept out there and it's been proven, then the logical step is to say, well, if people like this idea, let's try and build more of it. And the fact is, to build more and to build bigger and to build better, you do need to hire people, and you do need to grow. You need to grow a company, and so basing off a successful mod, and that's exactly what Charlie's done. Is he's taken his idea for a mod and his work on Natural Selection 1, and he's grown it into a company that is now, giving work to a whole bunch of people here in the office and elsewhere, and in the end, it's going to create an experience that's exciting for a whole new audience because it's a lot bigger, it's a lot better than the original, and it's a lot more exciting, and it's building on all that success that the mod created.
Well, it's good that you mentioned it's a lot better than the original, because that leads us to our next question. How has NS2 changed from Natural Selection 1?
Sure. Well, the first and glaringly obvious one that we've already touched on is the fact that it's no longer a mod, and therefore it no longer looks like it's running on the Half-Life engine. It looks like it's running on our brand new engine called Spark. So it looks good. That's definitely one of the first striking things about it. The second is that we now have an alien commander and not just a Marine one. So you'll remember back in NS1, if you remember, sorry, and to those people not initiated in the ways of NS1, there was a commander in real-time strategy perspective only on the Marine side, and now we have it on both. That's a big change. The tech trees of both have been shaken up a lot, and the idea behind all this shake-up and these new units, these removed units, changed everything, changed gameplay to revolve around tech points. All of this is designed to do two things, is make the game more accessible to new players and make the game more in-depth for advanced players and competitive players. So those are the two prongs we're trying to come from with changing up Natural Selection. And so it is, it's a totally different game to play. We wouldn't want to remake the original game because the original game is there. It's almost free. You can buy Half-Life for $2 or whatever and download Natural Selection 1 for free. So we definitely don't want to remake the original. We want to create something newer and better, and that's where we're at now.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I would definitely tell people to do. I would recommend that, in fact, if you want to play Natural Selection 2, I would recommend that you actually go and pick up Natural Selection 1 and just see how much it's evolved, because it really has. It's changed so much from Natural Selection 1 to Natural Selection 2 in the best ways possible. And I heard you guys mention the Spark engine. That was our next question, was what made you guys kind of go to the Spark engine rather than stick with the Source engine? Did you guys, was it just, it was time to move on, like from the first question, was it just time to move on from that?
Well, it's definitely a lot of real, tangible reasons. It definitely wasn't just a gut feeling. It's a big decision to make because you're not just moving an engine, you're moving an entire development pipeline. All things like map editors, modeling tools, all of that is tied to the engine you're using. So when the decision was taken to move away from Source, it was a really big one, and it was considered, and we're really, really happy we did it. And I'll flesh that out if you don't mind me rambling on. So the initial the initial two reasons for moving away from Source were that originally when Charlie and Max and Corey were getting Natural Selection 2 going and thinking about what engines to use and all that, they realized that the amount of work they were doing to try and get Source to act in the ways that were necessary for this kind of strategy shooter hybrid with all the intricacies that involves, the amount of changes that were being made to the guts of Source were getting to be very large, and it's never good to go into an engine that works as well as Source and it is as finely tuned as Source is, because it's a great engine, and change heaps of it but not change the rest. You end up with a sort of half-baked system that's not completely holistic and could break down. And so that was one of the first reasons, is, all right, well, if we're doing all this work anyway, we may as well be running it on our own engine. The second is that the heart of Natural Selection is modding. That's where it came from, and that's where some of the best content for Natural Selection 1 came from. And we wanted to be true to that with Natural Selection 2. Now, you can't develop a Source game and then have that as a moddable game because it's on Source. That's the core. That's the thing that's moddable, not your content. And Valve, although they, obviously they're so open to modders and they allow modders to do whatever they want, and it's fantastic, they don't, move in the ways that perhaps we wanted to move in terms of modability. For example, all our source code is open for the game. You can go in there and look at it with Notepad, or even better, you can look at it with the tool we give away that we actually use to code called Decoder. So because we've moved to our own engine, we can be so ridiculously moddable that we like to say, and we think, and obviously this is open to argument, that we're one of the most moddable games the world has ever seen on launch. And that just opens up amazing possibilities for user-generated content, such as maps, spectator modes, even development tools have been developed by the community as mods.
Oh, that puts us directly into our next question. I mean, I've heard this told from people have told me this off and on about the Spark engine, that it is actually vastly moddable, and you just confirmed that. Are you hoping to maybe give the game, maybe as the game progresses further, are you hoping to maybe have even more unique and like what am I trying to say? Are you looking for the game to progress in the means that the users are actually the ones that are making the game progress, such as Oblivion with their mod community? I mean, Oblivion's still going strong, and it's all because of their mod community.
Sure. And just before I answer that question, I want to just go back to the previous one really quickly, because there was one element I forgot to mention about why we moved to Spark and why that's fantastic for us. And it's really important that I mention is that when you've got a tiny team, you have to be able to iterate very, very quickly on your development. You need to be able to change things extremely fast. And because our game is written in scripting language, we can do that. And what would take a team of 10 a week to do, we can do with a team of 1, because we literally have 1 lead gameplay programmer, and that's it, can do in a much, much shorter amount of time, days instead of weeks. And that's a huge reason we went for Spark, to develop Spark in open source. And now, to the question you actually asked me, do we want the experience to grow over time? Hell yes, and it already is. I mean, it's not even, the game is not even released, and already the experience is growing hugely because of community-generated content with maps, game modes, spectator modes, balance changes, all this kind of thing that the community prototypes and just does. It's just fantastic. We're incorporating Steam Workshop. In fact, it's already in the game. That allows you to create content for Natural Selection 2 and then give it away to everyone and load it up on Steam Workshop. People can subscribe to it. So it's definitely huge for us. We don't believe we're the best game developers in the world. We believe that just like some of the best games have been developed by communities, Dota, for example, and even NS1, and we believe that people with creativity can create amazing game experiences, and we want to give them the freedom to do that.
That's definitely a perfect answer for that, and I fully agree with you on that part. Most of the best, the moddable games that I've ever played, some of the best mods or DLCs and such that have come out have actually been user generated. It's ridiculous how creative some of these people are. And but yeah, let's move on to the next one. Zombie, did you have another question for him?
I don't know. I'm tired.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, he mentioned the moddability and that users have created like team balancing and stuff like that. Are you ever going to bring stuff like that into the actual game in future releases, and multiply and add on to a concept from a user idea like team balancing, to where if you're in the game and you play as like one round as the aliens, the next round you're automatically over into the Marine section, unless you disconnect and reconnect, and then you can reselect what team you're on.
Sorry. So are you asking? Sorry, are we going to incorporate user-generated balance changes into the game? Is that the question?
Kind of. It's just, would you be willing to look at something like the balance changes and incorporate those into games, or if somebody comes out with like a mod for NS2, would you make it into a future release, just turn it into an actual gameplay mode? Just those user-created mods, would you be willing to take those ideas and actually turn them into game DLC, basically, for people who have the game?
So we already do incorporate community suggestion balance changes into the game. There's been a lot of examples of the community generating mods that have then turned into inspiration for official release. For example, things like the lurk flight mode has been changed a lot, iterated a lot on, and while I believe the current flight mode might not be true to this, in one point, definitely a community member called Twilight Blue was hugely influential through his mod in creating the lurk flight model. So we already do it. Would we do DLC based on community members? That's totally up to them and not us, really. If someone created an entire game mode and said, hey, I want this to go beyond modding and I want this to be an actual piece of DLC content or something, and through that implying there's money involved, because they can already distribute it through Steam Workshop, that would be up to them. I mean, if they wanted to, like if anyone wanted to go to any developer and say, hey, I've made this amazing thing to to your game, then sure, that's up to them to have that discussion. But I mean, people already can distribute entire game modes via Steam Workshop, and that they'll definitely continue. We hope it continues. It's so exciting to see people take NS2 and do crazy things with it, and all of that is completely supported by us, and it's absolutely allowed, and it's already happening, and we're putting all the systems in place that we can to make sure people can put their content out there.
Excellent. So that's cool. That's kind of what I like to hear when it comes to developers and stuff like that. There's a lot of developers out there that it's like, it's my way, not anybody else's way, or they try and take users' things, but then they look at it and they're like, no, that's not possible, and then they just disregard it at all. But it sounds like you guys are really open to the user modification and user input, basically, for the game itself. So
yeah,
that's the core of it. It really is the core of it.
It really is. But yeah, other than that, when the game is finally released, do you guys plan on making like is it planned to be only a Steam only game, or are you guys maybe looking into options that you can buy it in a standalone fashion without the Steam client? Some people like to have that option where they actually have a physical CD and such.
There is a possibility that for certain markets there will be boxed versions of NS2 that come on a disc. They will, for the foreseeable future, all be tied to Steam, because it's not because we don't like the idea of people doing it outside Steam. It's just a fact that when you've got a tiny development team, creating an entirely new distribution system with all the servers that entails and all the huge backend that Steam provides to small developers like us, that's not feasible for a tiny team like us. So we need to stay tied to Steam, and Steam provides a fantastic service for a little developer like us. I mean, for example, patching the game, which we do hugely regularly, every 2 weeks at the moment. At some points we were doing it every week, and that will continue post-release, although we'll probably slow it down slightly to say monthly. We don't know yet, but it'll definitely be happening very regularly. It's not possible for us to develop that infrastructure on our own, so we have to stay with Steam. But we are hoping to offer the game for sale all over the place, and not just on Steam. There's a lot of other services out there, Gamersgate, Origin, Boxes, all that kind of stuff. We would love to do that. We'd love to be selling the game all over the place. We're platform agnostic, and at the moment, all of those sales will still be tied to the Steam backend.
Okay, that's
awesome.
That's perfect.
Awesome.
That's perfect. Another question that we had: will you be using some kind of hack prevention bot like VAC or BattleEye to prevent in-game chatting, or is there kind of a not an actual way to do that?
Absolutely, cheating. I mean, it's a serious issue for any multiplayer game. We come at cheating from 3 angles, and there will be more, because there's no panacea to cheating. Every game has cheaters. It's inevitable. It happens to every game, no matter how strong their structures are. But the 3 angles we're coming at it from is, firstly, we're going to be incorporating VAC. The second is that we'll be doing consistency checks on the clients to make sure that everyone that plays is playing with the same game script. That's hugely important, given that our game code is open source. And the third prong is giving our community the tools they need to combat cheaters themselves. So one of the most frustrating things I find as a gamer is when you're playing a game and there's an obvious cheater, but no one on the server has the capacity to stop them. The admin isn't given the powers. The game's too tightly locked down to allow people to develop their own ways of stopping cheaters. With Natural Selection, because of our open nature, you absolutely can have admin that develops whatever powers they want. It's very easy to set up systems where servers can vote to ban people, vote to kick people. We expect it to be hugely widespread. We expect it to be a usual amount of as for any game. We think that because we are open in giving our community the tools and allowing them to develop their own tools to do, which is that we won't be suffering from it any more than any other game does.
All right, so sorry about that, Hugh. We're having a bit of a connection issue right now. Give me just 1 second, try and figure this out.
I think nature is mad at us today.
Yeah, we're not having a very good deal.
And that's
Testing. What do we got? Again, sorry guys. It's friggin' nature is not being happy with us today. For some reason, it just does not enjoy it.
Testing.
Are we getting him back at all?
Hello.
I think we're getting.
All right, I think we got it back.
Am I here? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we got you back. All
Right. Sweet. What was I in the middle of saying?
I don't know. It started going jumbly right there at the very beginning of it, but
basically, you said that you're going to be using VAC for hack and cheat prevention, and then you are also going to use scripts verification and give the ability for the users to build their own tools to prevent cheating.
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. It's allowing people to create, say, server-side mods that allow admins to kick and ban and have votes and all that great stuff. I mean, things like Counter-Strike have done that so well in allowing the community to make sure that cheating doesn't happen. And so we're coming at it from a lot of different angles, and we don't expect to be hacked any more than any other game. It happens, it's natural in games, but we're confident that it won't be a huge problem.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So,
one other question that we had really quick. I actually want to point out one of these questions that we had directed to us from one of the listeners because I think it's a good question. Let me go back up here to see what I can say. Too high for a fly. First off, I love your name. But he or she asks, how did you mix up the engine's features and the budget you guys had? I mean, Spark is a really awesome engine from what I've seen. It's a really beautiful engine. It's got some great gameplay. I mean, how did you guys do that with being such a small production company? Did you guys have a good backing behind you with budget and such?
No.
Well, there's that.
I'll tell you how. You get what you need to find is a Max Maguire. Find one of those. They're rare. In fact, I've only ever seen one of them. He'll develop an entire engine for you from scratch, and that's effectively Spark has been effectively written with the input of lots of others, but the guts of it are written by one bloke. And no, we definitely did not have millions of dollars to develop this game. For most of its development, it's just been 4 people on a barely living wage. So it's absolutely not a case of we had lots of money, therefore let's create our own engine. It's a case of, oh, we're on a really tight set of resources here. How can we make an engine, or what's the best pipeline we could have to be able to iterate on a game really quickly, change it really quickly, allow the community to interact with it? Well, it turns out creating an engine that allows, for open game source code and all the other features of Spark, such as the fact that maps don't have to compile when you load a map initially. It doesn't have to do a lot of stuff before you get in there. So we can map and iterate on maps really, really quickly. We can hot load scripts, so we could change balance live during a game. That kind of stuff in Spark is invaluable, and with limited resources, it allows you to do more with less people.
Awesome. That's a perfect reply to that question. I believe, at least, I hope that was answered for whoever the listener was. Hopefully.
If it wasn't.
If not, exactly. Just go over to www.twitter.com/@ns2, and you guys can ask whatever you want to from the guys over there at the production facility and such, right?
Yeah, and by facility, we have one room.
Facility. Awesome. Well, here's another question. Another question for the modding and such. Do you guys plan on implementing some kind of in-game or out-of-game leaderboard system for the actual release?
We would love to have matchmaking, stat tracking, all the stuff, profiles that come with that. We'd love to have that. We want it to happen. We have to be honest to say it's not going to come from us for release. We have to cut features left and right for release, but it's going to come at some point. It's one of the big things we want, along with more graphical upgrades and all that are going to be coming to Natural Selection 2 in the months post-release. But at the moment, we need to say, okay, there's so many awesome things we want to have in this game, but it is time to release it. So things like profiles and matchmaking and stat tracking, all that will come later. It's definitely going to come. It's just not going to be coming at release. Just because we are releasing officially on Steam and asking kind souls such as yourselves to do reviews doesn't mean that development stops. This is not a game that is going to be released and then in 6 months you're going to see a DLC and then that's going to be it, maybe with one bug fix patch in the intervening time. You're going to be seeing regular, free content and bug fixing and balance updates. We are very high-speed iterative development team. We're going to keep going after release, and there's not just bug fixes coming. There's a lot of content. There's entire map art sets, so not just maps, but art sets that haven't been used yet that will be used post-release. For example, our Biodome art set will be used post-release to create new maps.
And I must say, dude, the artwork and the visuals in game and everything like that, it's superb. I mean, if you guys have not played the game, go and pick it up. Fantastic graphics, awesome artwork, concept art, everything like that. You guys can go and check some of the stuff out at their website, some of their concept art and some of the screenshots and such. It looks amazing. And
Thank you.
I applaud you guys on it. It's really amazing.
Same here. It definitely, we booted it up and we were playing last weekend. We were live streaming and stuff, and it literally did take me back to those days that I was landing the alpha and NS1, and it was just tons of fun. And that's all a game needs to be sometimes to keep your attention, is just be tons of fun.
Thank you. It's definitely not finished, and we'll be the first to say it. There's a lot of work to do, especially before release, to work on things like performance, balance, and polish, and the learning curve for the game as well is a huge one. Is getting the learning curve going. But we're really happy that you guys are excited about it. We hope some of your listeners are too. And this is just the beginning, guys. This is the beginning.
Awesome.
It's a good start. That's what I can say.
Thank you.
A couple last minute questions before we go into some of the user questions, if we have any. For one, I had this bright idea to ask you guys this, and it just dawned on me that everything is probably happening right here. But my question to you guys with the upcoming release of the video game, what kind of things are you guys stressing about right now? Like what's going on in the minds of the developers to polish off the game for release?
Well, we try to never be stressed, but there's definitely lots of things swimming around our heads very fast. The big ones are performance and the learning curve of the game. We've got a lot of work to do in both, so we've got to get the game running faster, both server-side and client-side, and we've also got to get we've got to make it more intuitive for new players. It's a difficult game to learn and master, but we want new players to be able to pick it up, and we want them to be able to play it and recognize that while the game is a hard game, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It just means that there might be a more rewarding experience hiding away in there. So we need to add things like tutorial systems, help widgets, things like that can option in for new players and slowly turn off as they get more experienced to help them into the game. And that's absolutely crucial. And a lot of games that have tried to do RTS FPS combinations have fallen on this altar, and we don't want to fall there, so we need to absolutely get the usability experience to a much higher level.
Awesome.
Well,
awesome.
I can definitely see Natural Selection 2 becoming one of the competitive games, such as like Counter-Strike or other first-person shooters, or StarCraft, for instance. StarCraft 2. I can see Natural Selection 2 being that competitive market for people to only play first-person shooters, and or they only play real-time strategies. So it's like that perfect niche market right there that I am having a blast playing, and Enigma's having a blast playing it as well. And I can see it going to the competitive esports over the next years as the game evolves and is released and gets patched and stuff like that. So, but when it comes down to it, though, what team would you rather play, though? Aliens or Marines?
Oh, that's so tricky, mate. I love playing as the Gorge on the alien side. I love building things, healing people, supporting my team from just behind the front lines. But at the same time, I kind of like being Marine Commander. I really love strategy games, and I like trying to figure out, how to defeat the alien threat as Marine Commander. So I'm even on both sides of the fence. There's roles I prefer in both, but that's the beauty of it. There are so many different opportunities to play. If you like blinking in and out of existence and being a ruthless assassin, well, there's the Fade waiting for you right now. So there's a lot of different options for different players, and we hope that everyone finds something in Natural Selection 2 that they really enjoy.
Excellent,
yeah,
excellent.
Fantastic. Just a couple last-minute ones. Are there, last but not least, of course, I mean, this will be the last one, actually, because the other ones don't really, we've already covered most of them, but can you give us like a release date or anything like that for when NS2 is going to be coming out?
I can try. I mean, we're trying at the moment in the office to work it out. We're looking at a rough time frame of 7 to 9 weeks from now. It's going to happen. We're definitely gearing up for it. So it's happening. We're definitely measure. We've got a whiteboard here in the office that we measure this with, and it's gone from measuring in months to measuring in days not even weeks. So it's definitely happening, and it's happening soon. This isn't going to be, another year's wait, or even a 6-month wait, or even that. It's definitely coming in the next 2 months, and that's for sure.
Well, we definitely hope not, because I don't know if I could wait another couple months.
Yeah. And with that, it also brings me to a friend of mine that played back in the day, NS1. He wanted me to ask you guys, what took you guys so long to get NS2 released?
Sure, then it's a question we're really happy to answer. It's one that we have to answer, obviously, and there's no conspiracy behind that. It's the fact that we've bitten off more than a tiny team has any right to chew, but we've chewed it anyway, and we're going to swallow the whole thing whole. And it's the fact is we're making a big, complex, beautiful-looking game with a team of people that would normally be assigned to do something like a cel-shaded, top-down adventure strategy game or something like that. This is a project that's going a bit above and beyond what can be done with the resources that have been devoted to it. Again, just because something's hard doesn't mean it's bad. It means that maybe there's something more rewarding on the other side. So we're trying to do something really, really cool, no matter the resources we have. And that's why it's taken a long time, is because this isn't a simple game you can develop with less than 10 people, but we have anyway.
Well, and it's definitely, it's the proof is in the pudding, basically. I mean, the game looks amazing. So.
It's like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
We hope so.
Well,
we hope so. And you were very kind to, to say that we could be up there with Counter-Strike and all that. We definitely aspire to be big, but that big, that's putting little tears in my eyes, man.
No, definitely. We got a couple of last minute user-based questions. Tool8 wanted to know who from Unknown Worlds Entertainment is going to be at Gamescom.
It's going to be me at the moment. Gamescom, just going to give you guys a hint, is an extremely expensive exercise, not least of all is flying all the way to Germany. We would love to have the whole team there, like we had for PAX East, but it is just going to be me with a group of very devoted volunteer fans. So that's what's going to be there, and we can't wait to do Gamescom. It's going to be massive. We've never seen anything that big, and it's so exciting.
Awesome. Another question was, when should we be expecting more Steam Workshop integration? That was from Strangle and
So Steam Workshop integration, the guts of it and the plumbing are kind of there at the moment. We don't want to turn all the lights on yet. We want to save that for release because we don't want to... I mean, it's kind of a big thing to go up on Steam Workshop. There aren't a hell of a lot of games there. We actually were the second game to go up on it, but we took ourselves down from the front page because we were after Skyrim. It was really exciting to see that, but we've taken it down because we're not quite ready for prime time. So we're going to be switching all the lights on at release, but it is going to be full integration. The plumbing is there. It's ready to go.
Okay, awesome. TV Remake had one. He says, is there any news about the matchmaking? Can you guys release any details about that?
Only that it's going to come after release. It's one of the things on the post-release list that we'd love to do, but we just can't do right now if we want to release.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I can't see any other questions, so I hope that's not everybody's questions. That was very limited.
No, there's another one that says, why does UWE stick to a release date of summer 2012 at all costs? Can I answer that one?
Go ahead.
It's definitely not at all cost. It's just the fact is games need to ship at some point, and you can't just be in development forever. There's costs involved in terms of the even not only just money, but also the emotional investment of people. You need to at some point ship a game, and you have to decide at some point. Well, we always want perfection, but no one can ever have perfection. And I guarantee you that even games like Battlefield 3 and Call of Duty have to get to a point where they say it would be awesome if we could have alien space lasers in Battlefield 3, but we're going to have to not have that because otherwise we'll never ship the game. And there will always be new and awesome things we want to add. The fact is right now we're comfortable and confident that we're in a position where this game is going to be a great experience, and to add on more time to the development is going to be diminishing returns. And we're confident that post-release we can add in a whole lot of other stuff that we've always wanted to do as free downloads via Steam over the coming months.
Okay.
Here's one. I can't pronounce his name. It's Mr. Koroyo.
Yeah, Koroyo. Yeah.
He says, "How are you going to make the transition to the Steam store?" He says it seems like it won't be much advertisement if it just appears on release day. Are you guys going to be doing something like, an advertising campaign on the Steam store?
Spots.
Well, there is something we're going to be doing, but it's a secret at the moment with relation to Steam, so I can't reveal that yet. But we aren't just going to be switching over to the front page of Steam on release day and saying, well, that's done. But there's more depth to that question, which I think Mr. Grillo is getting at, is how are you going to tell people that this has happened? Now, half of it depends on us. We have to go, all right, well, we've got to get this game out there to as many people as we can and have them look at it and review it and all that. We have to wait with bated breath as people like IGN, GameSpot and all those big guys, give that magic number which they give and passing judgment on years and years of work. We have to wait for that. But the other half is that we have to hope that we've done something so hard and we've done something so big and we've done something quite well that inspires just people, just gamers, just like I was until 5 months ago. I was just a gamer making videos for NS2, to go out there and spread the word about Natural Selection 2 themselves and introduce their friends to it, post it on their Facebook walls, show people what has been done that shouldn't have been able to be done. That's what we have to hope for as we come towards release. And that's how I felt 5 months ago before I was brought onto this team, and hopefully other people do as well.
We got another one right here. He says,
hold on, Si.
Go ahead.
I want to just let 660 Watt Man know that the Onos, those aren't udders.
Look closely.
Look closely, those aren't udders.
Okay. I'll leave it at that.
No, Strangle and Dent says, are you guys going to have any type of cinematic editor tutorials? He says that you guys brought out some tutorials for map editing. Are you going to try and do something similar to that?
That's tricky. With all the fuss that came with the Source Filmmaker recently, we were like, hey, that's really cool. We've kind of got our own tiny little nowhere anywhere near as good version of that in our cinematic editor, which comes with every purchase of the game. And we would love to do tutorials for that, although right now, to be honest, it's just not good enough. It's missing a lot of things. We use it to do all our internal cinematics. In fact, we're working on one right now, hint, hint, for our trailers. But really for public consumption, it's not good enough. We admit that. One day, we, like all the other things we want to do post-release, we would love to spend a few weeks polishing that up, get the programmers doing that, and release that in a better form. So at the moment, doing tutorials for that is a bit rough because half of it would be, right, when this bug appears, avoid that by doing this. So,
Awesome.
we're going to hold on that for now.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
I was just saying another user question, Quiltos. He asks, are you planning to get more official servers up or just stick to the community-provided servers the way it is now?
We want to do officially provided servers. We do. It's a question of resources and whether or not we can come to an agreement with a server provider to do it. We want to do it, and we'll be hoping for it on release day. We think Natural Selection 2 is a game that naturally lends itself to community involvement, though, and we don't expect there to be huge problems with having community putting up servers. Suffice to say, we want official servers as well.
And these are a couple of good questions right here. I actually really like these two questions from Zargus82. He says, what will be the major effects from launching the game? Are you guys expecting large sales? Or were the pre-orders being up for so long? Have all the fans already bought the game? Are you expecting a big growth in future profit?
Well, that's a loaded question. I mean, any developer that's got a sense of self will not expect big sales. They won't expect large sales. They'll hope for them, and that's what we hope for. We don't want Natural Selection 2 to be a game played by just 50,000 people. We want hundreds of thousands of people, if not more, to experience Natural Selection and the concept behind it and the thrill of leading real humans on a battlefield and the thrill of the strategy combined with first person and the thrill of our unique art and our unique game style. We hope that experience can touch hundreds of thousands of people. Now, whether or not there's profit involved in there, well, Zargus, take it from someone who has been working here for as short a time as I have and who has just been Lord Imperial fanboy until recently. Profit is not what is driving this company. What is driving this company is creating an amazing gaming experience and having fun doing it, having fun in the development process doing it. So, there will be a lot of sales, we hope, and, when they do, well, hopefully that'll allow us to grow the company and create new experiences for new people in all sorts of ways and maintain the community involvement the whole way. Because the fact is, if you don't sell games, well, dreams like open source game code and massive community involvement in the development process and all the things we've been trying to do, they die because you can't keep the lights on in our little office if you don't sell a few games, and that's just a cold, hard fact.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I kind of want to just let 60 Watt Man know. He asked if there was a demo system in place like CS, or is there any plans for it? Well, you can pick up NS1, and that's kind of a demo.
Oh, I think what he's asking there is, because he's saying Tribes doesn't have a demo system and CS has one, he's talking about the ability to spectate a demo of the game, which is a really interesting question for us, and I can roll with it if you want.
Go ahead.
Right ahead. Will you be my guest?
Sure. Well, demo systems are really difficult from a technical perspective. We have a very basic demo system right now, which you can actually already use. I can't remember the commands in the console off the top of my head, but you can record a game as a demo and play it back. It's not, though, a very polished system. It's designed for performance testing, not for spectators. So while we really want to have it, it's another thing that's not going to be in on release. What we are doing is having a comprehensive spectator system. We're working with our community to make that happen. So this spectating is huge for us. We know that competitive play requires spectator systems and spectator tools that are responsive to communities and responsive to esports players, and we are so driven to make that happen, it's not even funny. So demo system is an actual replay system is going to have to wait a little while, but spectating, absolutely.
Awesome.
And here's the last user question that I think we're going to take, because that's all I see as of right now. It's again from Zargus82, and it's a really good question. What is the initial response from the esports scene right now? Have you guys heard anything from the professional gamers as of yet?
We have talked to a lot of big professional teams, especially in Europe, and a couple in America as well. They are pretty excited about the concept. Right now, there is a hole in the FPS scene. What was it? I think it was MLG just dropped Counter-Strike from the competitive circuit, and that was the last FPS. I think they've only got MOBAs and strategy in there now. So there's definitely a hole there, and I think a lot of gamers, especially esports gamers, are excited by the concept of a game that's taking competitive play seriously. Even if we don't have infinite resources to make it all happen right now, we are desperately trying to make it happen because we believe in it. And the response to that has been very positive. I remember a conversation we had with a professional team at DreamHack where we sat down over lunch and discussed the game, and they looked at us with shock when we said, yes, we have a spectator system, and yes, the community can add to it, and professional teams can add to it, because a lot of big games don't even have that. So there has been a really exciting response to the game from the esports community. Now, because we can't advertise on the back of every bus in every city of the planet, we don't anticipate that every esports team in the world is going to pick this up on day one, but we think it's going to organically grow because we've got the guts in there and we're committed to it.
And I know I said that was the last question from the users, but again, Zargus82, he's hitting us up with some really good questions. He says, what about achievements or ranks? A popular feature in recent FPSs. Can you see anything like that coming up, like unlockable new abilities and appearance options?
It's a really tricky question, and it's a really cool question because there's so much depth you could go into with that. We like the idea of a player being able to buy a game and have the whole game, and it's theirs. They own it. It's theirs. They don't have to grind to access a weapon that someone else keeps killing them with. Every game of NS2, they are on completely equal footing with everyone else, and it's just all about the skill and the teamwork of the players involved. That said, the whole industry is moving towards, the whole game industry is moving away from people just paying for a game and more towards people subscribing to a game or paying their way through a game by buying items and unlocks. We would like in future to be able to do cosmetic stuff, so stuff that doesn't affect your ability to play the game at all. Things like cool marine armor, changes to sculpt, visuals, things that just do not affect gameplay but make for a really cool experience. I mean, personally, I would go out and buy a new helmet and some crazy ragged armor or something for my marine, and that's where we're going with that. We won't have it on release, but for Steam achievements, which I think was another part of the question, I think we will hopefully have a few Steam achievements on release and more of them added as we go.
Fantastic,
Awesome.
Fantastic. Indeed. That's I can't ask for a better interview. That was awesome, Hugh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us, guys. It's a thrill that you're taking an interest in NS2. It really is.
Hey, no worries, man. Like we said, we're big fans of NS1 from the start, and NS2 is working on us just as quickly as NS1 was, and it's a fantastic game. I can't applaud you guys enough for the awesome, characteristics and gaming stuff that you brought to us on this release. So we're really looking forward to it. So look for
mate,
it.
Thank you so much for that, mate. And you know what I'm going to do after this interview? I'm going to walk away from this desk and tell everyone what you just said, and it'll make us all feel warm and fuzzy before lunch. So thank you so much.
I hope you guys do, man. I really do, and I really appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us, taking the questions from the community and all that stuff, and we'll get into giving away those beta keys here pretty quickly. Right after we get done with this interview, we'll get back on, and we'll let you get going, Hugh.
Oh, awesome! Thank you, mate. And so you've got those, right? There,
I do.
them?
Yeah, I got
Awesome.
them. I got them sent over to me through Skype, so we got them all fixed.
Sorry, just before I go, you might have noticed Flavor just popped up in the Twitch stream and says, you don't need to tell us, we're already listening in. So there you go, the office was actually already there.
Well, again, we really appreciate you guys, and it's a fantastic game. Again, all you guys over there, the development team, give yourselves a pat on the back. Really, I mean it. I can't stress it enough. So you guys I think you guys have another another golden game right there, man. I really do.
Same here.
So
thank you so much. All right, guys. So you have a great day,
all right,
and see you later. Thanks for listening in, everyone. Bye bye.
Definitely do. Thank you, man. Have a good one.